I'd never heard of MapTiler up until my current job. Maybe I'd come across it, but it was not noteworthy as I now think it is. They're a big one-stop shop for web mapping, almost a Mapbox type of competitor, but they have this tool that is a georeferencer called MapTiler Engine, and it purely exists to take maps, stretch them out, and convert them into web tiles so that you can use them in web maps. And it is one of the most like delightful interfaces I have found for georeferencing in a long time.
Can you show us it?
Yeah. This is my one complaint, is that it takes forever to load when you fire it up. But otherwise, I love it. It starts out really simple. Can drag vector data in there. I've not used it for that. I have used it for old maps a lot. I'm going to grab a map of, let's see what I have on hand. Asia. Let's do Asia 1935. So all I have to do is drag this in. It's going to load for a second. And I haven't tried any of these other ones, but if you click assign location visually, it kicks to a georeferencer and you get this nice side-by-side view, and you can just start laying coordinates down. Like I said, they provide web mapping tools. So this is their MapTiler map style. They have like a bunch of others you can add in, or you can add your own. You could bring in like your own XYZ tiles. But let's come in here and we'll just start dropping some points loosely. And the thing that I love, because, you know, the map is set at a certain scale. And so sometimes you want to kind of georeference it at a scale, like place the GCPs at a certain scale, but it has this little like magnifier built in. So I can keep my scale, but I can also keep it zoomed in.
Yeah, so clever, because you like, how many times have we tried to do this in QGIS and you get lost, right? Zooming in, zooming out. Where the hell am I moving around? That's brilliant. What a clever piece of engineering. So how many of these do you need for it to work in this scenario?
I'm already linked up after 2.
Wow.
So I can
cool.
click. I can click this button. Let's get like a third one up here on the border. Yeah, you can see that it just rotated a little bit, but now I can do this overlay button, and it'll take a second to tile it in.
Yeah.
But I can grab, not bad. And the thing you can do is you can keep georeferencing from this view. So if you leave it at about 50% opacity, and you say, okay, I want to, let's line up, let's see if there's something out here in Japan we can line up a little bit more. Yeah, like over here. So if I start here, let's see, I think I start on the old map and then I drag it back, and it's just like this stretching effect, you know, like you can just keep them overlaid and track your progress that way.
Yeah.
And then you can come over here and you can still get your coordinates with your errors and stuff. But if you come back to overlay, it starts out on an affine transformation, but if you switch to polynomial, it will adjust how it's warping it. So we can just keep stretching this until we get it to something that we're happy with. And you'll see there, it's starting to get that signature, you know, Mercator stretch. And then I'll do one more point, and then we can, I'll go through the export here. So
the purists will be looking at this going, oh, it's not accurate. And you can see where it's off, right? You know, you can see where the match isn't there. But if you just think, if you step away from that for a second, and I'm sure you can get it more accurate by, you know, repeating this process again and again and again, and the more time you spend on it, the better it'll get. But if we just step back for a minute and just appreciate the simplicity of this, I think it's pretty cool.
It's quite nice. And this is like something that one of my colleagues uses a lot. And he's an archival producer. Like his job is to go out and find archival footage, to find old maps, and then he would prep them as animation assets. But this was a tool that he found, picked up, and started using. He didn't know like all the transformations and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, it got the job done for him and he could do it quickly. Okay, so for the purists who are like, I don't know about this, you'll see that if I click this, it put one where it thinks it should go because we're now synced up. But I have down here at the bottom, I have latitude and longitude. Just punch in 16 and 46. I could do the typical thing, you know, where you go like every third one and run a grid all the way across or, you know, make an X through it and get like a good distribution. And because I know they'll also say like, well, I still have to convert my coordinates to decimal degrees. Like, what if the map does not have decimal degree coordinates? Well, you can click on this and come to settings, and you can change the coordinate system. You do only have 2 choices, so you're stuck to those 2, but you can do it as DMS or as degrees minutes.
Sorry, imagine for a second if there was a grid that you could turn on and off as a layer on the other side as well. You could add like it says, add a custom map service with that in it.
Yeah, exactly.
That is cool.
Yep.
Wow.
So then you just hit this continue button and it'll tell you, okay, you had 9 GCPs on this. You can come back in and click assign visually if you need to do more. You can pick the output CRS you want, the bands, but then if you click continue, it gives you these options to output as tile sets. Now, this is the one thing that I wish, and this will get to my bigger complaint of cloud native stuff, is like I wish cloud optimized geotiff was an option here, because I do typically just need these as geotiffs. Now the geo packages and the MB tiles and stuff that it exports, I can drag and drop them into QGIS. I can read them with GDAL, whatever standard it is compliant enough that GDAL can recognize it and I can convert it. I can also get like a local tile directory and KML of all things. But KML is always there for us. But once you output it, you can drag and drop these into QGIS. The thing that here's the other thing that I love. Part of this is based on the plan that you have. So because this is a paid service, but it does automatically pick zoom levels for you. Like based on the pixel size that you have, if you create tiles higher than this, you're kind of just wasting pixels. And you can get them as like, high-res DPI tiles. You can get them as lossless PNGs, whatever. And you can say this is an overlay. So I want transparency, like it'll set your 0 values for you. So you could do this same thing in QGIS. You can generate XYZ tiles. You could do this, but you'd have to do the math. You'd have to sit there and do the math with it, figure out what tiles you want. Then you just output this to this geo package or your MB tiles to a directory. You can upload it to your MapTiler cloud account if you want to. I'm not going to bother with that. And it just sits there and runs. And in a few minutes, you can see its processing progress. In a few minutes, we'll have our geo package full of tiles that we can load it in view. So currently, it is my favorite georeferencing experience.
That is interesting coming from a QGIS power user like yourself.
Yes.
Really interesting.
I love QGIS. I do georeferencing QGIS still a lot. And like I will say there are times when QGIS is still useful. Sometimes the thing I need to georeference against is a shapefile or it's a GeoJSON or whatever. And it is just nice to be able to stack layers easily and georeference off of them in QGIS. But for a lot of things, I've been going to this a lot lately.
And to be fair, you're probably not the target audience for this. At least that's my guess, because you're that expert in QGIS. And all the way through this demonstration, you're saying, oh, you could do this in QGIS. Of course you can. But my guess is the target audience, people that are using this, the vast majority of them are not QGIS literate or GIS literate. They just know they need to georeference something.
I've gone back and forth on that. MapTiler themselves is a mapping company first. Like they are the open source friendly mapping platform. Like I can remember, I think it was 2020. Was when Mapbox took their licensing private, and that caused like quite a stir for some folks. But I believe it was the folks at MapTiler who kept that open fork of what later became it's whatever the open source equivalent of Mapbox GLJS was. But they kept those web mapping libraries open. They've contributed to open web mapping a lot. And then the other thing is when Google in 2018 price gouged everybody that was using their web mapping things. Again, MapTiler was there as an alternative. So when I first saw Desktop Engine, I immediately went back to my first job out of college. I was working at a company where we were using Mapbox and we were building maps for tourism destinations. And there was a point where we had this like resort, but it was in a rural area. So the satellite imagery was not very up to date and they wanted something more up to date. So we actually took a drone out there, flew it and created an orthomosaic. We need to like get this geotiff onto their web map. And I'm like very green, still just coming off of desktop GIS and using Mapbox. It was like this whole process in their docs of like, I had to get my Mapbox API key. And then I had to use that API key to then get a token. Then I had to use that token to pass the geotiff to a staging S3 bucket. And then from that S3 bucket, it had to process. And that was like the easy way using the uploads API. So I don't know if the audience is people who are adjacent to it or if it really is just like trying to create good experiences for developers too. But I thought like, man, if I had this where I had to push this geotiff into the cloud, I could have done it in 5 minutes with this versus the half a day or however long it took me to start figuring out how to push this thing up through the command line and deal with all this customization that I didn't really need at that point. All that is to say, that I think they do exist primarily for developers.
Well, it clearly says on the top of the webpage here in front of us, maps for developers. I think the thing here is it doesn't say for geospatial developers. It doesn't say for GIS professionals. It says maps for developers, and developers, well, that's a broad swath of people.
Now, it was confusing signing up, and I think this goes for all platforms, where like it was unclear about like what I was signing up for when I signed up when I bought the MapTiler desktop license, because it was like, okay, there's that license, and then turns out you need like a $20 a month subscription to host the data in the cloud. So you have like MapTiler Cloud versus MapTiler Desktop. Like desktop's its own thing, but it wasn't clear. Like I don't think the desktop pricing is on here. Like it lives in its own spot. And then so that was like that was a friction point in the sign up process.
Does that mean, so are you telling me that the georeferencing tool you just showed me, that lives on your desktop? So this is a desktop tool that then uploads to the cloud?
Yeah. So you just fire it up. So I just fire that up on my Mac. Yeah. And it connects to my MapTiler account. And so, like I said, I have the option to kick that geo package locally. Like I can just stash it in my downloads folder or whatever. Yeah. Or I can push it to my MapTiler cloud thing. So if I come into, let me sign in here real quick.
Another thing about MapTiler, they make beautiful maps. Like they have some really, really beautiful base maps.
They do. Yeah, I totally agree with you there. So if I come to tiles, you can see 2 tile sets that I did. Again, it's got the signature Mercator stretch, but we were looking down here. Yeah. This was the area we were using. And so here's the tiles. Like I just clicked that button and off it went. And then I had a nice URL, like an XYZ tile URL with an API key that I could give to people to access. We used it in animation software. There's an animation plugin that will pull in these tiles and you can apply all the fancy Adobe After Effects stuff to it, but you could pull it into your typical web maps just as easily.
Do you pay per read and write, or is it per gigabyte stored, or how does that work?
It's gigabyte stored, and this is my second gripe is it under analytics? Oh, let me find it here. So you can have 100 data sets, which I think that's referring to your vector, like stuff that you're converting to vector tiles. What I created was one of their tile sets. And at the $25 a month, they only give you 10 of those. So you're not only limited by the number of tile sets, but you're also limited by storage. Like they only give you 10 gigs of storage. And I have not fully figured that out because I'm thinking like S3, like cloud storage is so cheap.
Yeah.
Why would $25 a month only get me 10 gigs? And if we go back to, let me get back to the pricing page here.
But I do like that being able to set a spend limit. That makes a lot of sense. So
yes,
it means you won't get trapped if something goes viral. Yeah, that's really, really cool. Really cool.
There's so many horror stories that people have with like Mapbox or whoever, like, our map went viral and here we are stuck with this like huge bill we didn't intend for, versus like, it'll just like your service will shut down if you hit your spend limit. No problem. So one of the things that I will say before I trash on their pricing a little bit, where was it on here? They, I think, wanted to create a better pricing model than what Mapbox had, like something that was a little bit more straightforward. And I can't remember exactly what it is. It is still like based on API requests and stuff. But from what I remember reading, going through like blog posts and stuff, like they do try to be like developer first, so I think they do try to be very transparent and straightforward with forecasting pricing, and they have like a pretty generous free tier to get started with.
I can imagine for all the when I look down through that list as well, for me, like I'm not trying to run a business on the back of this. I go, wow, that's complicated. I just want to show people some maps. I just want access to some maps, create some tile sets that I can pull in and use. But when I look at it, I think, okay, they have made it relatively easy to figure out what I'm spending my money on when I get my report at the end of the month. And if the breakdown looks like that, okay, well, I can see what's costing us money and what's not costing us money. So that makes a lot of sense. That might help inform decisions around the products that I'm creating or how users are using them.
Totally. Now here's my gripe. Is my only option is to pay $25 a month and get 10 gigs of storage and 10 raster tile sets, or to pay $295 a month to get 100 gigs of storage.
Yeah.
And this is where, like, you know, I don't do product management work as much anymore, but like making videos, I am still in like experience design mindset of like like I still have an end user, and like I'm still trying to create a good experience for them. And what I feel when I see this is that pain is intentionally being introduced upon me. And I hate that for users. We're doing something that is intentionally going to create pain. That being said, I also understand you probably do not want a company that is flooded with $25 a month hobby users, because like in product, you're not just looking at like, can you build the thing? Is it technically feasible? Is there a big enough like user market for it? Like you're very specific about the segment you're building for. And so I understand, like, at $25 a month, they're trying to be generous to people who need like an entry point to like get started in exploring things, but also do not want to create this business where it's like $295 says like there's some seriousness to it, and I'm not just going to like put all my old maps on here as a hobby and bug your tech support like for it. So I do get it, but it also, like, as someone who is doing this professionally, who's at a weird in between spot where I'm not going to pay $300 a month to do this, but also like the $25 a month thing isn't meeting it. Now I'm out there like, okay, I can stash these. I know how to set up an S3 bucket. I'll park them in there. I'll figure out how to set up a T-tiler instance, and that's how we'll serve out our XYZ tiles, like, versus using this. And I can do that. Like, that's how I get to my in-between price. I just wish there was an in-between price tier for someone like me. But again, I do understand why stuff like this exists. I just hate, as a user, feeling like new pain is being created when you've already done so much to solve like my pain of desktop georeferencing. And I was willing to pay for that. Now I have new pain of like hosting and serving data. And I know that gets complex, but yeah.
Yeah, interesting to hear you say that they probably don't want a business flooded by all these cheaper subscriptions. My guess is, like, if I was you and I needed more, I'd go and create another subscription. You know, like, it would be in my own interest to make more of these things, because I don't want $300 a month. Maybe I just need, I'm willing to pay $75 a month, and that just means I need 3 different subscriptions. Sure, it's a pain in the ass for the bookkeeping on my side, but it's better than $300 a month.
Yeah, I'm sure there are companies out there where it's like one coworker has one account that hosts one tile sets, the other coworker has the other accounts that host the tile, and there's a spreadsheet that tracks who has what tile. Like, some janky workaround. It exists, and they're paying $75 a month for it. It's just not, not as smooth with it. And I do think the other reason this exists is MapTiler has become very tightly integrated with this animation extension. It's called GeoLayers. And you can set up your MapTiler API key, pull it in, and in a lot of ways, like, that is a great way to get base maps into your animation workspace. It's a great way to style them. Like, it has a lot of great interfaces there on the vector side of things. And so the fact that you can have 100 vector data sets, it takes longer to get to 10 gigs of vector data. I think there are probably a lot of those animation folks out there that are doing this for video that are at this $25 a month, and it probably is working when you're doing vector heavy workflows. But when you want to like tile in satellite imagery, old maps, like all that, it chews up pretty fast in that regard.
Years ago, I was talking to the CEO of OpenCage. Ed is a wonderful guy, and he was telling me he spends so much time trying to keep the free user tier under control, because what happens is they offer a free tier and people sign up with 28 different email accounts and do everything they can to avoid paying that, whatever the entry level price is, $20, $25, $30 a month kind of thing. And he said, you create the product and then you spend the vast majority of your time trying to protect the product against people coming up with these janky solutions like what you were talking about.
And I want to give MapTiler so much the benefit of the doubt, because again, they have done so much to carry the torch in the open source mapping community. Like, they contribute very heavily. They have helped maintain and build like a lot of the open web mapping infrastructure that is either new or just maintaining existing stuff. I know that you've talked to a lot of people about this too, of like you still have to run a business when you're doing open source stuff. Like, there are like more abstract economic things that happen there, but at the end of the day, there's still like tactical, people need to get paid, bookkeeping type things that do not mean that everything can just be, available free. Like, more people that use QGIS should donate to the project. Most of us could put $50 in if we're already trying to pay $100 for an ArcGIS personal use license for something.
Totally.
yeah. Anyway, so I recognize like like you said, there are businesses to run at the end of the day, people to pay, it's their livelihoods. Like,
Yeah, I get that.
but so what do you do for the hobbyists who are out there who really want to do stuff with their old maps and like host them? Well, the exact same georeferencer platform that MapTyler built exists online. So I'll show you how to get to from the David Rumsey collection here in a minute. But it also exists at the website that many folks may have seen before, Old Maps Online. And I don't know why mine is showing in Spanish, but it is, and that's fine. I actually have no idea why it's doing that. What? But anyway, let's explain. If you come in here and we're gonna do this in Spanish, yeah, if you come in here and just like pick a map, it's gonna open it, and of course it's gonna give me a 500 error. Let me try something real quick. Maps online. Let's see if it happened to. Yeah, it does say Spanish in the thing. Let's just try English. There we go. So anyway, this is the spot where a lot of these get stored. So they have a community of people where you can upload these, and they have like this UI for filtering them to say like, I want to see all the maps of this geographic region for this time period. Like it stores all the metadata with it. And the exact same georeferencer is the interface for the web thing. So like I said, I was using Georeferencer as a desktop app. This is the web version of it. And if I can just find a map that will actually load here. Let's try this one. Okay, so the map loaded. Now if I go settings, I don't usually access it through this front end, so I may have to go through the Rumsey site. But anyway, you can see that there's a tile there. So they have partnered with other libraries like the Rumsey Institute or the Rumsey map collection. And if I go through any of their collection and select a map in there, like this one, for example, it's going to give me this button that says georeference. And so when I click view in georeferencer, you'll see that it's going to open it in Old Maps Online. So they have like this partnership where this is like the catalog for viewing it. And this one in particular, I think has already been like georeferenced and approved. So it doesn't have anything to really add to it, but you could then come in and apply all your control points in the exact same manner. Like it's the exact same thing. And then it just gets saved. And then you can access these as XYZ tiles straight from Old Maps Online. You do have to have an account, like you are limited to like having 25 live URLs and stuff. So this is kind of the way that gap has been filled a little bit. In the very specific use case of old maps and getting them as tile sets. And you can come in and like contribute to the community with adding a new map every day. Like it's kind of a fun little game, they have going on.
That's cool.
Kind of, it's like the OpenStreetMap contributor leaderboard, like same type of thing.
Brilliant. Does that mean then I can come in and search for maps that other people have uploaded and georeferenced and downloaded tile sets for them?
Oh, right here. I think if I click export, yes. Now if I click it, so here's one. Again, this is that same map that I did on MapTyler. But if I come here and I click create an endpoint or download as a GeoTIFF, I now have an XYZ tiles link provided by all of their infrastructure. They generate the API key. I think they might last for 30 days. Like there's this little toggle here.
Yeah, what does that cost for a subscription to this?
$30 a month if you do monthly. $10 a month if you just contribute for a year, but that gets you 25 tile set URLs. It's almost double the amount that I could get with MapTyler. I can get the georeference exports. So double the tile sets for $5 a month more.
Yeah.
And you can still get 5 for like this lower tier, but
yeah. And as long as you speak Spanish, you're fine, right?
As long as you speak Spanish. I suspect that's a me thing and not a them thing. My oldest son's in like a dual immersion program at school, and so my browser frequently encounters Spanish stuff. So there may be something messed up in there, some cookie that it's remembering that's doing that. But
do you have any experience with Open Aerial Map?
Let's see. It has been a minute, but a little bit. It's the one where people are uploading their drone orthomosaics, right? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
I remember when I was in college, I helped teach a class that helps students get their drone pilot's license. And so we would dive into lots of different softwares and stuff there. And Open Aerial Map was one of them. It's been a long time since I've been on here.
So it's been, for me too, it's been a long, long time since I've looked at it and even longer since I've used it. But it just reminded me that there's a few different things out there. And of course, they're escaping my mind at the moment where the whole idea is to create almost like a GitHub for maps kind of thing. I've seen a couple different
Yeah.
projects out there. Upload anything you want, and then hope. I don't know how they're going to monetize things. My guess is that they're hoping that professionals are using this to serve tiles back to themselves, to their own web applications. But yeah, and it's interesting that there are so many. I think that this kind of stuff speaks to how cheap it is to store things now, that people can offer these kinds of services and create tiles on the back end that then you can pull into your own clients. So yeah, interesting.
Well, and have you seen what's the other one? Soar.earth.
Soar Earth. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's exactly the one I was thinking of. Brilliant.
Yeah. So I talked to Harry Stranger a while back. Harry runs you know Harry.
Yep.
Anyway, Harry uploads to here a lot, but it is kind of, again, the same type of thing where I've also stashed old maps on here, and there's like a whole community of things. But I don't, at least last I uploaded on here, you didn't have to like pay for anything. Like it was almost just like a community thing. People come, they comment on maps, they look at. There's always like I saw the Chile fires were on here the other day. Like kind of breaking news stuff is on here, and like all these new formats and storage being cheap and tools. I am finding T-Tiler under the hood on a lot of things these days, and I would not be surprised if it's also here. Just being able to grab those cogs and tile them on the fly, and serve them that way. It's stuff like this is great. I'll show you another one here in a second, but.
Yeah, I probably should dive into this at some stage and see what their georeferencing process is like for this. It'd be interesting to compare the different systems. But I was going to say, I find it fascinating that these are also the use cases for cloud native geospatial. Oftentimes we're talking about Sentinel pipelines and how we're going to store these huge data sets, but it's also making this kind of stuff work.
Yeah, well, and so last I knew, they did not have an in-browser georeferencer for this. So this is one of Harry's uploads. So he does a lot of the old keyhole spy satellite archives. So this is one of Harry's keyhole georeferences, but he was doing them in QGIS, and he needed it. Again, this will get back to when I said that I wish that MapTiler Desktop would output cogs, because there is still not a great way to write a cloud optimized geotiff right now. Like the best way and easiest way is to use GDAL, and it's like file in, file out, like format tag cog, and it writes it and it's clean. That's the easiest piece of software. Harry needed them as cogs, I think, to upload better here. I know that he works with Source, so I don't know if he's doing something more behind the scenes with his uploads, but Harry had the problem of, I need to convert these to cogs, and it's a pain in the butt to have to like do the regular QGIS georeferencing and then convert them to cogs some way. So he built a QGIS plugin that I think he called Raster Blaster, where you could just save the points, the control points. Like you do the normal QGIS georeferencing window, you would save the control points, and then you could open his plugin, upload your points in, and it outputs it as a cog. Like you can set all the same settings, but it's just a QGIS plugin that he vibe coded to do that. So that's why I say I think they're using cogs, and that's why I would say I wonder if they're using T-Tiler to serve these under the hood. I suppose we could use GeoHound to look at what tiles are coming in. Yeah, that's why I say that I don't know that they have. Oh yes, right here. He says it right here. Processed with QGIS and the Raster Blaster plugin.
Hold on.
And here it is. So here's the best way to write cogs if you're georeferencing.
Yeah. Interesting that they don't like. I should have a look at this, and I got to be careful what I say here because I don't know so much about Sora. But how are they getting those other maps up there then if they don't have some kind of georeferencing function built in, even just like a simple bounding box, like almost like a Google Earth style thing where you upload your image and drag it around and sort of via the bounding box and get it to fit.
I know that they have some feeds from things like NOAA. So this is one that came from NOAA. Like you can see that it has like the official NOAA tag, and you can see that they are some sort of data stream partner. Yeah. NOAA's on here. The USGS is on here. I'm not sure what they're doing to get specific partnerships like these, but when you come back here, you'll see different organizations are doing it. But just click upload. Here, let me...
Well, I wonder if they do have a partnership. That would be interesting to know, or if Sora is just grabbing georeference stuff from their website.
So yeah, well, because like some of the government stuff is open data feeds,
And then there's georeferencer.ai. When you click on that, it takes you. It's georeferencer powered by Sora.
Oh, and it says up here on my SOAR window here. I don't know why you can't see it on the screen share on Riverside here. I don't know if it's limiting the aspect ratio, but at the top of mine, there's a button that says join our waitlist for AI powered georeferencing. So I'm guessing they're in on this. I've seen others, Bunting Labs has had like their own AI georeferencer thing.
I wonder if their magical georeferencer is just Gemini in the background and it takes a look at it and sort of guesses the coordinates and then adds them as GCPs. Like it could look at the map, right? And it could read the coordinate system at the bottom. It could look at the numbers, look at the, and go for it.
So I will say this is a little different in that it doesn't have my favorite magnifying tool, but it is pretty straightforward in terms of like,
Interesting. The pattern is the same, hey? Side by side, drag points over.
Yeah, I was trying to see if there's, you're kind of getting a live training here, but place your points evenly around your map. Oh, I need one more point, and then maybe it'll do some sort of overlay magic here. Let's do one. See, is there a nice big island out here somewhere? Maybe like this tip. Preview ready. Click to preview. All right, not bad. I wonder if it may be auto calculating a transformation. So like if I apply more points, because I don't see a transformation setting. It's not setting, I can tell it's not setting no data values for transparency up here, but I do have like a GeoTIFF download.
Yeah, that's cool. Could you try that GeoTIFF download and see if it's actually a cog that comes out? And to be honest, that it doesn't give you transformation settings, I kind of get it, right? Like they're just making it as simple as possible.
I just wish, like, that was the thing I liked about MapTiler is like, they're not there front and center, but they are there if you are like, hey, I do want these.
But I think MapTiler is serving a different audience than
it
SOAR.
Is. Yeah. Next, try adding your map to SOAR. So you can georeference it without uploading it even.
Cool.
All right, so let's see. Let's just get a handy command line window open here. I have amassed too many windows during the course of this exploration.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go GDAL. I'm using the 3.12 release that has the new syntax in it, which has been kind of fun. There's some things that I like, and there's still some things that are janky, but there we go. Am I missing it? Does it not say what it is? JPEG compression.
Driver GeoTIFF, but it would be the same driver no matter what, wouldn't it?
Do you see driver on here? Am I missing it somewhere?
Yeah, up the top.
Oh, driver GTIFF. No, so that should be just a standard GeoTIFF. Because if I do, what is it? GDAL, raster, convert, and I do that same, let's see, file, cog, and then I do in and then out. I like that it put map powered by SOAR in the file name. Okay, let's write this. Again, this is the easiest, like that right there is the easiest way to generate a cog that I know of right now.
Yep.
Let's see. So now let's do info on our cog.
The driver's the same, is it not?
The driver is the same. I thought, because I assumed it would change the driver.
Or could we see the difference? There should be a slight difference in file size.
Oh yeah, there should be, huh? Let's see. The regular TIFF is 19 megabytes and my cog is 74 meg.
A slight difference. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
So, well, and let's see if it it changed the compression too. So this says that the color space is YCBCR JPEG with JPEG compression. But this one right here does say layout is cog in the image structure metadata, and the compression is LZW. But that is the one spot it does say cog explicitly in it.
Yeah.
Interesting. Because I guess that's the other option is if you just have all high compressed JPEG, like high quality JPEGs, when you're actually exploring the SOAR Atlas, then that would be a viable option too.
Interesting.
Well, I'll show you. Okay, I'll show you one more. So this one is called All Maps. So All Maps has kind of taken one of these approaches where it's like, what if we didn't have to follow kind of the spatial rules when georeferencing old maps? Again, like a very niche use case of old maps. But a lot of these archive collections are hosted on IIIF servers. And all that I know about IIIF is that's what makes the image like kind of scaled zoomable. I think it's non-spatial tiles.
Yeah. And
there is this standard that is called georeference annotations that is part of, and so this client-side app has basically made it so that you can take that IIIF URL and let's see if they have an editor example. Yeah, so I would just paste, like I would go to one of these map archives, like here's some in Europe or the National Library of Scotland, Library of Congress, like all of these places that have these archive URLs. You would just grab that and bring it in here, draw a mask to mask out the map itself, and then you georeference it. But as again, it's kind of the same like side-by-side window, and this was probably a bad one to pick because I don't actually know where this is at, but I didn't pay attention. But anyway, if I just like, drop some points on here.
It's going to be stretched.
Yeah. So you can see now I've got a thing, and now I can toggle it on. Again, I don't in here have all these specific transformation options, but like here's my result.
Did it just show that you could download that as proto-map tiles?
The background map is proto-map tiles.
Okay. Sorry. Background. Yep.
Again, you can load in custom stuff.
Yeah.
But this is also where it gets interesting because I can view this in the All Maps viewer. I can get to, so this is what like the georeference annotation looks like. All it is it's like a JSON doc that says these are what the GCPs are for this. And then like it's doing all the warping client side.
Yeah. But what library can do that? Like, can Leaflet do that? Does it understand that?
Yes, Leaflet and OpenLayers do understand this. But I remember when I was in the GitHub docs for this, let me find the GitHub repo because I think this one is more open source at least. Yes. Okay, so here's all the packages for AllMap. And you can see they have Leaflet, MapLibre, OpenLayers, all that stuff. And there's a part in here where it talks about using XYZ tiles, and they have a like little blurb that says these XYZ tiles are intended for you to use them in desktop GIS because it does physically require us to like generate something new and serve it out. Like basically this is costing us money to do it.
Yeah.
This project gets support from, or at least it used to get support from the Open Historical Map folks. And so they have this bit where they're like, if you are using this in Leaflet, please use our Leaflet library, which can take this georeference annotation and this IIF file and do all the client-side warping.
It makes a lot of sense, hey? It makes a lot of sense to distribute maps like that. That's really interesting. I had no clue that standard existed.
Yeah, I had never heard of it either. And it took me a minute to kind of wrap my head, because again, my mind wanted to go to like, no, we take a geotiff and then we tile it up and then we serve it out. And like, we have to change all these file formats. And this kind of, again, skips all that and says, hey, what if we could just use this IIF thing that's already tiled? And one of these, let me find one of these examples. Is it this one? Like they were mosaicing multiple maps from an atlas. Like you've run into that where you have like an old atlas that has individual maps. And it was like an area in Rotterdam. And I was looking at all the tiles individually as like a mosaic, but I didn't have to do anything to mosaic them. That was the georeference annotation could then take that a step further and tile all of those together. Again, not having to generate new tiles, I think.
Do you have an idea if that was being pulled in as one URL or if that was multiple URLs for each tile and then that the client was figuring it out?
It looked like one URL to me. Like it had its own annotation thing. Yeah, here it is. Okay, it was in the All Maps viewer. So they have a viewer interface and an editor interface. You'll see that it says that I'm viewing 19 maps, and this is the annotation URL for this. I wonder if I crack this open. Yeah. So this has a bunch of feature coordinates, and it looks like it has individual like objects in it. So I think this is like a master. It's almost like a stack API. Like this is like the higher level parent doc. But anyway, you can see these are all the individual tiles that it's stitching together.
Can you zoom in on that? That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And here's the other cool thing is you can do a background remove. It basically leaves just the building footprints. and you can do your full opacity thing. But yeah,
that's really, really cool. I love how seamless it is. There's absolutely no edges there.
It's so slick. Like it's just such a clean mosaic. And again, like this is something that's built for non-technical folks. Like you and I are nerding out about like, oh, I wonder what they're doing under the hood. But like at the end of the day, some like librarian archivist like can come in and do this whole thing and figure out how to put points on a map and get a whole collection of atlases stitched together. and see it. And, I've worked with historians on different projects over the years, and I love when you can hand them something like this. Anyway, we went way beyond Map Tyler.
Yeah, we
but
did. Fascinating,
we
man.
now have
Brilliant.
like a full overview of the historical georeferencing side of the internet.
Or even just georeferencing and tools in general, I think.
Sure. Yeah.
Awesome, man. Fascinating. I think I probably got way more out of this than you did, but it's awesome. Loved it. No, it's really, really interesting. So these are corners of the internet, mostly I've never seen.